Hey guys, Drifter here, and welcome all new subscribers from the Noob vs. Pro episode that came out on Machinima Respawn. A lot of you on my channel aren't seeing those in your sub boxes. A lot of you aren't subscribed to Respawn, so the links to all the episodes are down here in the description. Just go down to episode 1, 2, and 3. You guys should know that this is not going to be a funny commentary. This is Drift0r's Madness episode. These tend to get personal, they tend to get scary, they tend to get really dark really fast. There's not going to be a lot of jokes here, a lot of smiles, so if you came here to see the dog, I wouldn't really recommend to watch this video. I'm still going to make a lot more Noob vs. Pro videos, but this is not one of them. But let's forget about all that and cut to the point. I have at several instances in my life encountered what I would call to be paranormal or extra normal, or things that I just genuinely cannot understand or cannot explain in a logical, reasonable fashion, and they scared the shit out of me. A lot of you will probably send me messages with some facts that I've seen before. I'm aware of the fact that high carbon monoxide levels cause hallucination and sense of dread, or that an abnormal amount of EMF, electromagnetic field in your house, causes auditory hallucinations, and another presence of radon will cause visual hallucinations and other things, and that may have been a factor in this, but the biggest factor, the one single factor that connects all of these stories, is my mother. And a little bit of background about my mother. She grew up in a less than happy family. You want to talk about original gangsters, OG, that sort of stuff? Her family were like country ass original gangsters. Come from a oh boy, how do I say this? I don't think there's a single one of them that doesn't have a significant amount of blood on their hands. They're really not good people. So she has post-traumatic stress syndrome. She's very easily scared, very religious, and she also believes that she has generational demons that follow her around. And at some points in my life, I have been tempted to agree with these things. I've seen possession and other weirdness, but that's not this story. When I was 13 years old, we moved to a ranch out in a town called Gober, Texas. You can Google it. We actually wasn't in Gober, Texas. It was just barely outside of it. It was a big country kind of ranch. It had stocked farms. It had barns. It had cattle and all this other kind of stuff. It was so that my stepfather, who was thought to be dying at the time, could move out there and play farmer. And this place was just a little bit weird. It was too well kept. I mean, we had a gigantic pantry, but then when you go in the attic of the pantry, there's 40 bunk beds. You have a storm shelter. Oh, can I see the storm shelter? Yeah, it's out here. It's got 2 exit doors across 30 feet. It's got its own air filtration system, running gas and water, and beds 20. Okay, it has a shower in there too. Huh. So how many barns do we have? We have 2 barns. We have 3 ponds stocked with fish. We have eggs. We have vineyards. It was so weird, and the other thing was weird is they were selling it very cheap. They were selling it underpriced, and the couple that had lived there moved away nearly overnight. They just packed and they left. We bought the place and we moved in, and we really loved it. It was awesome. It was cheap. It was really ballin', like a big, really cool farmhouse out in the country. When I was a kid, I didn't really like being out in the country because I like my friends and Blockbuster and these sort of things. But if you were an older gentleman, you would have loved it. He loved it. But it was weird. It was like it was built for. We thought it had to have either been for smuggling illegal immigrants, which is weird because that's in very far north Texas, or more likely some sort of cult, some sort of doomsday cult, because the entire place was set up to be self-sufficient. If you wanted to just stop going to town and live out there, you could. You had everything. You had well water, you had plants, you had food, greenhouse, basement, bomb shelters. We really think the storm shelter was a bomb shelter. It was a very strange place. And weird things happened in that house, specifically in my little brother's room. Me and him got the upstairs. The upstairs was split in half. You kind of had a stairway in the middle. On the left side, you had his room, and on the right side, you had my room. My room was, it was a big house. It was pretty big, pretty nice. His room was about the same, and everything was totally cool, except my mom kept telling me that my little brother would get up in the middle of the night and walk around in his room, that he would stamp around up there and make a bunch of noise, and when I hear that, I should put him to bed. And I kept telling her, you know, he never wakes up at night. You know, he's never up. And I'm like, Mom, I'm up all night reading. I'm playing my video games. I'm watching TV. He never wakes up. He never moves. And she's like, yeah, he does. He's up all night. He walks around. He slams doors. He drags his toys around, that sort of stuff. Never heard a thing. And eventually, sometimes, you know, he was a little kid, so he'd sleep downstairs with Mom every now and then. And when he would sleep downstairs with her, she would tell me, you know, she'd ask me, my name's Brad. She would say, Brad, why did you go to his room last night? Why were you stamping around in his room? I should have also mentioned that his room was directly above their bedroom. And I'm like, Mom, I watched fucking HBO all night last night. I didn't leave my room. She gets really mad at me. It's like, I know you were in there. What were you doing? I'm like, Mom, I never left my room. And it got to where she thought she was being hit by a ghost or a demon or some of these nasty things from her past. I really didn't buy into it. By this point in my life, I had seen lots of freaky stuff, but I was seeing absolutely zippo here. Nothing weird. And I was like, my mom's just being batty. She's drinking too much. She's getting PTSD. Something's going on here. Not interested. Blah, blah, blah. And then there was one night, I forget why, I really don't remember why, but the whole family ended up sleeping in one room, being their bedroom downstairs below my brother's room. It was just 4 people, me, my mom, my stepdad, my little brother. I'm 13, so I'm not exactly old, but I'm definitely a rational thinker at this point. And I'm just sitting down there going to sleep, and I hear a door open, like, and then shut. I'm like, what the ever-living fuck? So I wake my mom up, and I tell her that I heard a door, and she said it's probably the ghost starting again. And then I hear footsteps up there, just kind of walking around, just like a normal person, just kind of walking around. And there I hear a big thump, like somebody dropped something, and then like a couple of dragging noises. It goes on for about 10 minutes, and she wakes up my stepdad, and he's not amused. And we wait for just a minute till it stops. Then me and her and him, we go upstairs and we check, and we don't find anything. Nothing's out of place. There's nobody in the house. It wasn't a prank. You can't have somebody, like sneak into the 3rd story of your house or 2nd story and stamp around and then hide. It doesn't really work that way. And it was really weird, and it really freaked me out. It kept continuing. Yeah, every now and then I would be downstairs with them some nights for fuck all if I know, a storm or something. You could hear it going on up there. I'd stay up all night and wait and listen and hear nothing. My little brother never complained about anything, even though the noises were coming from his room. It's like they were only coming through the downstairs room, which was really weird, but it's not necessarily that freaky. That's just a prelude for me to tell you that it was a strange place to live. It was an unusually creepy house. One of the scariest things that ever happened there was actually I could explain very rationally, but it was still very creepy. It was yet another night that I was sleeping downstairs, the entire family in one room, and that's because there was going to be a big storm blow through. And for those of you in other countries, other parts of the United States, in Texas, when a really large storm comes through, a lot of times people get in the safest room of the house because of tornadoes. Tornadoes are more destructive than hurricanes, or like per square foot. They're like tiny little hurricanes. They fuck everything up. And we're worried about tornadoes, so we're all sleeping in one room. And my little brother, who is a toddler, is in the bed in between my stepdad and my mother, and I'm down there at the foot of the bed on a sleeping bag. The room is totally dark except for this one bright light by the stereo, a bright red light just beaming in, really kind of creepy like. And my mom was really scared. She's absolutely terrified of storms. She grew up in rural Kentucky. She's seen stuff devastated by tornadoes. So that wrecks her. That ruins her. That puts her in a very bad mood, very bad disposition. And my stepdad, for some reason, he wanted to have sex. And he wanted it now. He probably thought I was asleep, but I wasn't. And my little brother's right there in between the two of him. And they're arguing. And he's telling her to just push him aside and they'll do it and he'll never wake up and this kind of stuff. And she's telling him no. And they're arguing back and forth. And some preface, this guy is... they had a rocky relationship. Black eyes were passed around, lawsuits here and there. Let's say that when he starts getting aggressive, it's not a good situation. And I'm just laying down there, quiet as a field mouse, not paying any attention to this. And she convinces him to go back to bed. But by this point, my mom is drunk, and she's angry, and she's scared, and she starts talking all this kind of crazy shit about her childhood, and about how when she was little, she could see the angel standing behind her brother when he protected her from, stopped her father from killing the whole family, or telling her about the curse that her mother put on her and said that the demons are going to follow you and that you'll never find a happy man, you'll never have a happy relationship, everybody you'll be with is a scumbag. And she's going on and on about how the demons are going to follow her all over her entire life, and how her mom was right, and that they're a part of the family and you can't escape it, and that she goes on and on. She tells my stepdad, who's pissed off at this point because he can't sleep, that he's part of the problem and he's just yet another bad guy in a long line of bad guys because of this curse. And he's actually getting irritated, but he's sleepy, so instead of wanting to fight, he's just like, baby, go to bed, baby, go to bed. And she keeps talking all this kind of stuff. And eventually she gets him good and woke up again, and they argue again, and then he wants to have sex again, and they're arguing about that. Again, it was really annoying. It goes around a bit. Another thing that I need to tell you about this room that we're in, it has a room directly to the sunroom on the outside, which is an open sunroom, just a little mesh thing. So it's also subject to air pressure differences. And the door doesn't close particularly well to the outside. Every now and then, if you don't close it right, it can pop open. And when it does pop open, the air pressure difference creates a suction that'll slam the door shut in the bedroom. Really big, heavy wooden door, so when it slams, it really, really makes a lot of noise. And they're sitting there arguing about this. It's like 2 in the morning. There's thunder and lightning outside like crazy, but no rain, and he wants to do it, and she's going on about generational demons and all this kind of stuff, and he's telling her she's being a bitch because she doesn't want to do it, and she's crazy because he doesn't believe in demons. And I'm sitting there as a little kid just quiet and trying not to get scared because I'm hearing all these crazy stories, and I'm looking at that stereo light, which is the only light in the room except for the lightning flash. It's this solid bright light like a fucking demon eye sitting on the wall staring into the room. I don't know why they have to put LEDs in everything. And they're going on, and she keeps talking about generational demons. You're crazy, you're crazy. And then the door to the outside just kind of pops open for no particular reason. Maybe it was a gust of wind. Maybe it was a demon or a ghost or whatever you want to say. But it just kind of pops on open just a little bit. And then it goes grrrr and opens up. And that creates the vacuum, which starts sucking the big heavy wooden door, which was open. Slowly, faster, boom! Slams the door. Super loud. My brother wakes up, he starts crying. My mom flips the fuck out, screams something about demons. She slaps the ever-living shit out of my stepfather, which is a huge thing for her, considering that he's put her in the hospital more than once. She just blayed into his ass, and she's actually pretty fucking scary. She looked like she was about to hurt him. She got up, said she was sick of his shit, sick of him wanting to do it with her, and that she's leaving her baby there, and that he better not do anything to that kid or she'll kill him when he gets back, and blah blah blah. Gets a cooler of beer, walks out into the middle of the fucking thunderstorm. It's just raining everywhere but around our house. Lightning bolts hitting shit out in the distance, and trees catching on fire, and thunder every 10 minutes, and just gets her big cooler of beer and walks out there, plops down by the lake, and sleeps out there all night. And while she's leaving, the stepdad's like, you're gonna get rained on, you get struck by lightning. She's like, I ain't give a shit, it ain't gonna rain, blah blah blah. And it didn't rain. She stayed out there all night in the storm, slept by herself. And that was probably the start of the whole relationship really going downhill for the final time. It is very easily explainable by conventional means, the wind gust, the air pressure, but it was really scary, and it was really convenient given the nature of the conversation. And some of the other things in the house I'll talk about in later episodes. We had an exorcism, there was a possession later on. Believe it or not, I'm not just joshing you here, I'm not crazy, I'm not trying to make shit up on you, and I'm well aware of all the scientific inaccuracies that could be very easily applied, but that doesn't change the things that I have seen over the course of my life. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was a little anticlimactic. Some of the other ones will be a little bit spookier. Let me know what you think about this episode, about the gameplay. If there's any subject on the paranormal you want me to talk on, believe me, I can do it. And for now, Drifter out.